What a lad. Well, today I'm joined by the man who has changed the way the world kicks goals. He is the founder of the much-loved Rugby Bricks kicking tee, which every man and his dog seems to be kicking off these days, and for good reason. He's also played the game professionally for Otago and Northland and has been coaching professionally all around the world and is currently the assistant coach for the mighty Matatu. And yes, of course, he is an absolute lad. It is the man himself, Peter Breen. Welcome, mate.
What an intro. How cool to hear the music and to see it all live. What an absolute privilege. No, thanks very much for having me. And well done on getting through with the podcast. I think that only 2% only get past 6 episodes, right? So
yeah, I remember reading something like that early days, like the 7 episode was my goal, and it must have been because of that. I'd read that somewhere. And
yeah, so no, congratulations with where you've got to with it. It's epic, and a really quality product you're putting out, so well done.
Oh, cheers, mate. And likewise to you. I mean, your podcast as well. What are you up to, about 80-something episodes? You've cracked that 98%.
Yeah. Well, that was the same thing for me, because I remember we talked about that stat and like, okay, let's just get past 6.
Yeah.
And man, you learn a few in those 6.
You do.
And the product improves and you learn a little bit more about questioning and just general chat. So yeah, awesome work. It's stoked to be here.
Yeah, well, mate, it's great to have you on. And talk about all the sort of things you're doing. We talk podcasts, we talk Rugby Bricks, coaching. All that in itself is a massive workload. You've got family as well. Yep. Your work-life balance, like how do you manage it all?
The family one's been interesting, like the last couple of years. Actually had a great chat with Tamati Ellison at the airport when we caught up with you guys the other day, just around how that dynamic has changed things. Like we had an epic run over in Melbourne. We moved over there for 5 years and it was just me and my wife, no kids, nothing else.
Yeah.
COVID, which gave us time. And I just had that much time for Rugby Bricks and podcasting and just focus on Peterland.
Yeah.
And then, now the kids and coaching and responsibilities and now the team of Rugby Bricks people involved. Time management is something that I'm really wanting to nail this year. And I'm not quite that good at it yet, but I'm feeling what you're saying.
Mate, I understand how you're not, you've got so much on. How much time does Rugby Bricks take up for you at the moment?
I'm really lucky with the team that I've got around me at the moment. So Kale, our CEO, he's doing a great job of managing and just making sure we're getting through our tasks and some of the projects that we've got on. So that's probably 2.5 days of my life at the moment. But as you know, with coaching, there's always clips, there's always feedback and one-on-ones and session planning. So I've learned a lot from this season and it's been a really good learning. I definitely bit off probably more than I can chew.
Yeah.
But had to go through it to learn that.
Yeah. And how have you found coaching? Obviously, Matatu.
Yeah. It's been awesome.
Yeah.
Personally and professionally, I've picked up so much growth this year. Over the last few years, have had a few connections with a few of these girls, like some of the Black Ferns kickers, done a little bit of spot coaching with Matatu and the Black Ferns hub here in Christchurch out at Lincoln. And sort of just felt really right to come. And I was pretty keen for the opportunity to lead the attack and do the backs and probably get a little bit more organised with my coaching and the environment out there's not challenging, but very questioning and the why and the thought behind it and have you thought of this and what about? So, man, my growth has been epic this year.
Yeah. Is this the first time you've done a team as such? Because you've mainly been skills and really good at that technical.
I jumped into the Wallaroos. I did attacking backs for the Wallaroos, but that was just shotgun.
Yeah.
That wasn't me going, hey, I'd love to do this. It was like, hey, mate, do you want to?
Yeah.
And I think I went into it differently.
Yeah.
Whereas this time it was more me leading myself into this opportunity and thinking it through. So that's probably why it's a bit different. So apart from the skill coaching and spot coaching, this has been the first I want to do this.
And is it something you felt like you want to keep doing? Or?
Definitely. Yeah. But the hard thing to me at the moment is the priority of the Rugby Bricks opportunity, the business side of things, and then the coaching, and then the young family.
Yeah.
And so, just getting a bit of advice from people around that, how they're attacking it, because any one of those can really consume your life, and you can lean into whatever you want. So, a few decisions coming up, but it's awesome.
Where is your family at the moment? They're obviously not in Christchurch.
Yeah, down in Dunedin.
Yeah.
So that's where we sort of set up base before leaving. So we did a little bit of house renos and bought a few properties down there. So we've just moved back into one. My family, Jay's family is all around there. So
cool.
it takes a tribe to build a kid. So
Yeah.
we believe in that. So it's awesome to have that support there.
How often are you able to get down there in season?
Well, we're technically 4 days a week professional, Thursday through to Sunday. So that's the contract period. So every second week I've been shooting home for those 3 days, head down into the Rugby Bricks stuff, family, kindy drop-offs, etc. So, that's been the setup.
Yeah. How old are your kids?
Got almost 3-year-old girl and a 9-month-old boy.
Oh, you're right in it.
Yeah. Cool phase, though. And you'll know yourself. Sort of that Jordan Peterson around the first 4 years of your kid's life being super important.
Yeah.
So my wife and I spoke about that. So we really want to sort of be around for that. Is where my head's at the moment.
Which is super hard when you're trying to grow, I guess, your coaching career. You've got Rugby Bricks as well.
Yeah.
You've got all this good stuff going on the side, and you're conscious of how much you want to be around your family as well. It's a real balancing act. Yeah,
100%. How did you go with it? Because you got a good wee tribe there.
Yeah, I'm in the same with you. Like, I'm trying to juggle everything. I saw a thing on Benji Marshall the other day around him being questioned about his coaching and him not being a 24/7 coach, which I found really interesting around. He obviously sets a guideline similar to me. I try and get home before 5 and be with the family until they go to sleep, which is usually around 7:30, and then back into work in the evening. But I don't know if there's a good way to do it or not.
I think for me, like Craig Philpott was down from New Zealand Rugby, so we had some good chats with him. And I think one thing I get real pride out of is producing a quality product.
Yeah.
So if you're not doing that because you're not filling your cup with the family time or training yourself or looking after that mental space, then you're not delivering a quality product, which then causes frustration and that lack of pride in your work. So that's been a nice little unlock for me, is like, if you're getting the quality product because you're doing this stuff, then feel good about it. So it's been.
I think Scott Robinson was really good with that as well. Like, he'd always, get his surf in the morning before he'd come in, and it was a real eye-opener for me to see a coach sort of put not himself first, but just prioritise what he loves to do. So then when he came in, he had really good energy, not being on the computer all morning and then coming in like a bit grumpy looking at some clips and that sort of thing. Was real positive energy and put himself first, which was cool.
Yeah, and that behaviour is contagious, right? So you guys see that and, okay, he's prioritising looking after himself, I'll do that. So, I love that stuff.
Yeah. Oh, mate, good start. Anyway, I'm keen to go through the whole journey for you, like where it all started and how you got to where you are. So where did it all start for you?
Well, I'm a Oamaru boy. So grew up there. And one of the advantages looking back now is sort of that small town sport thing.
Yeah.
So we played senior cricket when we were like 13 years old.
Oh,
so playing with all the old boys and learning little crafty things, and you get some big, tall, fast seamer who's 30 and you were 13, just ducking and weaving. So that was a real advantage. Twin brother, older brother, 2 older sisters, so big old family and just sport everywhere. And then so cricket and sort of basketball were my 2 first sports, like really lent into the basketball and the cricket.
Oh, wow.
And had some awesome coaches around Oamaru, rep coaches, and that was the first love for me down there. And then wanted to chase rugby until my last year of school. I'd sort of really overdid the cricket thing and basketball, and I was ready for a change, and all my mates were playing rugby, so let's go have a crack.
So you'd not played rugby up until that point?
Yeah, I played a little, but not really like I'm a rugby player.
Oh, far out.
Yeah. And then, played rugby last year at school, loved it, first 15 footy, the big rivalries, and got around all that.
Yeah.
Overthought most things.
What position were you?
I was straight into 12.
Oh, yeah.
And I really enjoyed 12,
Yeah.
just distribution and passing and a bit of vision. And then then started kicking, and I was like, I really like the kicking and want to have a crack at 10. So slowly moved into that 10 spot. And then, went down to Otago Rugby Academy, and that was kind of where I first really started crafting my way into the rugby side of things. Studied personal training, But yeah, I was there for rugby. That was my focus. That's
You must have been pretty gifted because, I mean, that was a pretty quick to go from not really playing, being a basketballer, to straight into first 15 to Otago Academy in that sort of short space.
I think that we just did so much sport. Like, that was, when I think back at high school, that was what I did.
Everything was sport.
Yeah. Good mates there, but yeah, my focus was sport. Loved it. Like, my brothers were so like backyard cricket every day. Like, we just used to wrestle each other. Like, it was pretty easy transition, to be fair.
Yeah.
And back to that small town thing, like, that's where you get, like, you're genuinely not really fighting for spots if you're any good at anything. So, you get your opportunities straight away. And then, down to Otago and enjoy that life.
Yeah, and what was it like going into that academy? That would have been early starts. You're starting to think, I want to be a professional rugby player at this point.
Yeah, well, you know what academy's like? Like, it's so daunting. Like, you have the big academy manager who you think's a big scary guy in Arthur. Like, and you hear about the academy when you're going through high school, and whoa, what's it like in there?
Yeah.
What do they do? But yeah, the early morning starts, and got to get out of the gym before the big dogs get in there, and all that sort of stuff. And I suppose through that journey, like, a lot of guys got opportunities like quicker, and that's always tough when you're sitting back and in your third year, fourth year. Like, when is it going to happen? Because I definitely wasn't one of those players that were just like, you're in. Like, I had to work really hard for my opportunities. So that was part of it, and that weighed on me heavily. But yeah, when I finally got the call from Tony Brown, like, it was, I took a lot of pride of that because I definitely hung in there for it. And then, sort of kicked into life with Brownie and Otago, which was magic.
Yeah, was that 4 years of academy without getting an opportunity?
Yeah, and because that's the thing, because I'd played 12, I wasn't a very good 10, so I had to go through that like hard learning process of 10 in club rugby in Dunedin. Yeah. And leading a game plan and driving a team round, so I was a bit clunky. Yeah. I didn't get it because I hadn't probably had those years playing age group footy at 10 and learnings and feedback. So it did take me just a little while to get the hang of that. And then once I finally got an opportunity, Brownie backed me in, which was cool.
Mate, it's so important for, I feel like, all young teens to go through that sort of phase, to be able to drive a team around it. It's a hard, it's harder than people probably assume it is. I remember being, early days in Tasman, and I thought I was really ready, but I wasn't. And I look back at some of that stuff and I'm like, wow, I was so far off. But going through it is basically the only way you can really learn it.
Yeah, and I feel the exact same way about it. You thought you were ready, and then when you finally get there and play a couple of years, you realise, I was missing so much in my game and understanding and just where I needed to be, what I needed to say, how I could help, all those things. Yeah.
And you mentioned that comparison piece too, of seeing your mates all make it and start playing. That's something that's a real thing. You said you obviously struggled with it. How did you sort of deal with it in the end?
Well, I think it happens at all level. This is happening to Super Rugby guys now who are not making the All Blacks. Like, it's the same miss, and that happens at under 14B in Oamaru. Like, if you miss, you miss, right? So you still got to deal with, you were chasing the goal. That's probably my message, and ties into the whole Rugby Bricks thing. Like, you can always be really proud of your effort on reflection. So, was I working hard enough? Was I ready? Was I doing everything I could to get the opportunity? And that's probably what I could always live with. And was always really happy for the guys that were getting there. But you definitely think about doing other things and having a crack going somewhere else. But I'm pleased I hung in there because it was really rewarding when I did get it.
What kept you there?
I really enjoyed club footy. Like, it was epic, like playing for a land reunion and that group that we had around there. I was playing Otago Sevens, and that was that kept me. That was a little carrot heading to Queenstown. For those tournaments and enjoying that. So, and then you're in and around Otago B and Highlanders development, and so you were getting a few opportunities, but it was just that one thing that you wanted to finally get, like a contract where you could be a full-time rugby player. Yeah. Oh, that was good when that happened.
Yeah, and then you did get it. You said Tony Brown got you in there.
Yeah, and what an awesome experience. Like, we had the Forsyth Bar with the roof on it, and we just had this amazing 3 years with Brownie, and then his brother Corey came in. And we just played this amazing stadium footy, which was just fast, wicked kicking game. Guys like Fumiaki Tanaka and Hayden Parker in and around. Like, I just thoroughly enjoyed what we tried to do and how Brownie set up the team and some of the learnings and impact that he's had on that group. And obviously the world-class coach, right, over with South Africa now. And what he did with Japan is so impressive. But yeah, we got the best of Brownie when he was so hungry and keen and working on his coach craft. Like, yeah, really privileged experience there.
What was his strengths as a coach?
Well, he always backed himself. He's like, I back myself as a coach to take a group of players and make them better against another coach. So that was his strength, is he put 1 to 15 every position. He was there with you in the working hard. So he would be with you with your drills, like getting touches with the coach. No one else was doing the work, like he was in it with you. And that's I suppose that's what we all felt. And then as a 10, obviously he was really engaged with guys like myself and Hayden. So that was probably his big strength. And the game plan was crystal clear. So we had the roof. We could play both ways, the same plan.
Yeah.
And teams that were coming to town, like usually around that 60-minute mark, weren't able to sort of hang with that speed. We always used to talk about the cramp mark. Other teams would start cramping at 60 and then would carry on. So, yeah. So it was so cool.
Yeah, it was cool. And then you talk around waiting for that next opportunity. Was Highlanders, where did that sit for you? Or like the next step was obviously Super?
100%. I wanted to be a Super Rugby player, and never got a game. So that was tough because, again, as soon as I got out of the academy, now I'm in Otago trying to get to the next level, and it never came. And that was a tough pill to swallow often because you sort of, again, you feel like you've worked your way and earned a spot and earned at least an opportunity, and to not get that was hard. And then when I went up to Northland, that was to try and get out of sort of the Highlanders bubble and try up there. They were short on 10s. Ended up going with Bryn Gatland in the end, which fair enough. But yeah, I can be super proud. Like I'm happy with how I gave it. Like I was always a hard worker, and I suppose we chucked the word battler around a little bit. But yeah, super proud of the effort that I put on both those teams.
Was there anything you think you, looking back, could have done differently to potentially get that crack to play Super Rugby or higher levels?
Take more risks, be more brave.
Oh yeah.
I was too safe. And probably just that 10 craft thing, I was a little bit late to the party with learning that. You can pick it up quickly, but I think it was, taking a few more risks and not being as safe as a player probably worked against me a little bit.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Because I think that coaches really like someone who's confident and backs themselves and swings the bat.
Yeah.
And I probably just didn't trust myself enough there. Yeah, it would be with a...
Why do you think that was?
I'm a pretty deep thinker. Like, I know that about myself now, which is working really well for me in the coaching space, because you think things through, and it's a real asset to have. But as a player, it probably just slows you down and makes you a little bit clunky, and you sort of don't often find yourself enough in that flow state of just playing. I used to have it at club rugby, no worries, but maybe just when the professional, that little higher level came on, I just tightened up a little bit, is what I used to feel. Yeah,
that's interesting, because as a 10, you think sometimes just to play and low error rate, get the team in the right areas of the field and just do your sort of little bits of your job. But hearing you say that you wish you took more risks, and it's fascinating.
And when you see the best guys like Richie Moe here for a while and Damien, like they swing the bat, right? They do try things and play on that edge more often than not, and that's why we love watching them play. And coaches are like, I need that guy on my team. So a little bit more of that. I'd definitely encourage young players to lean towards. Like, an error is not the end of the world. Like, lean that way.
And I guess those two examples, they've got incredible physical attributes in terms of that speed and lateral movement that they can really lean into or double down on that strength of theirs. A
little bit more speed in my game would have been nice to me, I reckon. just a touch more, because you're right. Speed is an asset. Solves a lot of problems.
I saw you at Queenstown Sevens. You had a top end, that's for sure. What was your super strength as a player, though? Was it around your kicking game?
Yeah, it was. Yeah. So Hayden Parker was a gun kicker.
Oh, was he? What?
Probably one of the best that Super Rugby's produced in a long time.
Wow.
So we really went hard on that craft together. That was a cool learning. So my kicking and catch pass game was a real strength. And Brownie helped a lot with that, just sort of those fast transfers and stadium footy. We wanted to play fast, move the ball fast. So all those little things around being that first receiver, catch fast, pass fast, was a real strength in my game, and I got to a really cool place that I loved having that in my game.
Yeah.
Sped me up, and definitely my last couple of years in Northland probably got to that flow state with that team and guys like Jack Goodhue and Ranger outside and all the rest of it. Like, that was probably my funnest footy, and I just got out of myself way and just was able to play. So yeah, goal kicking and catch pass.
And is that where you found the love for sort of coaching especially those two skills?
I think basketball was my...
Oh, yeah.
The why. So with the way basketball's coached, and because I went through all the rec grades, played like under 16 NZs, like I was in all the squads and had some epic coaches, but like it's all shooting mechanics and dribbling drills and you know, just standing on one spot with yourself with the basketball, working on your craft and your dribbling, and that was where my love for micro skills came from.
Yeah.
And then as soon as I got into all the catch pass drills and, you know, pistol drill and clean catching and micro kicking drills, like I was like, this is similar, but we probably coach it differently in rugby.
Yeah.
We're happy to walk past a few more things as a whole, I'm talking about. Whereas my basketball coaches were like on you, like, no, like muscle memory and like detail. So that's where I've gone with Rugby Bricks now, moving down the track, because I wanted to bring that vibe into rugby skill set.
Speaking about basketball, what stopped you? Why'd you leave basketball in there? What was it? You making the New Zealand teams?
Yeah.
Why didn't you push it?
Yeah, good question. I had the opportunity to just carry on with it, and same with cricket as well. But I wanted the challenge of rugby. I think professionally, I really liked the idea of playing professional sport, and I think the clear pathway was head to Dunedin Academy and then play rugby.
Yeah.
That was how you'd play professional sport. Probably didn't see it as close, clear as pass with basketball. So that's probably why.
Otago Nuggets didn't.
Used to go to a lot of the Nuggets games, and so had fond memories of going to Nuggets games. I used to come to Oamaru. We actually had the Oamaru Penguins. I don't know if you've ever heard of those.
Nah.
Not many people have. The Nuggets used to come play the Penguins. It was a pretty big deal.
You would have been playing for the Penguins at about 13, were you?
Got a couple of caps for the Penguins.
Because you played for North Otago young too, didn't you?
Yeah, Glenn Moore. He was the head coach there, and that was second division. Like they were big dogs.
Yeah, Nelson Bay days, I remember.
Yes. Yeah. Managed to get a crack 16 years old on the wing for North Otago.
All right.
Luke Hurden was at fullback.
Oh, yeah.
The big spook. So blast from the past, a few names around that area. But yeah, that was daunting.
I bet.
I felt very small against some very big adults in those games. But yeah, I used to love the old heartland.
Yeah, especially because you hadn't played rugby a lot, to be able to get straight into that North Otago second division team.
Yeah. I was like, me and my brother, twin brother, often got called man-child. So we were big kids. Like, we were probably this big when we were like 12, 13.
Oh, far out.
Which is what really helped the basketball and
cricket
and all that stuff. So I think that's why the opportunities come pretty quick earlier on. So looked ready.
Yeah.
Maybe wasn't.
Mentally wasn't ready. What about the court sessions or initiations for a young 16-year-old with North Otago and Div 2 footy?
I don't know how, but I managed to not get dragged into that. I think it was because it was just one game called in and played. It wasn't for the season, so
you saved yourself.
I hate to think what that could look like.
Well, but your coaching, when did you start your sort of online coaching? Because I know that's how Rugby Bricks started, was with coaching online. Was that while you were still playing?
Yeah, last year at up in Northland.
Oh, yeah.
So I think like those, you would have had the same. The PD people come around your franchise and life after footy and investments, and they talk to you about all that stuff. So I think a few friends had like sock companies and T-shirt companies. So I wanted to, try my hand at just building rugby content, going back to that basketball thing. So I was following a lot of golf pages and basketball coaches online, and I I didn't see anyone doing it in rugby, like to that same level at the specific athlete. So all my content is really targeted at like the academy player. So someone who knows a bit, they're working on their craft, they want to use this on a sad day, they can just pick this up and run with it. So that's who I was trying to get at with the content last year at Northland, and that was pretty daunting. Like, as you'll know, you've probably copped a little bit for your podcast.
I was going to say, like, that was going to be my question. Like, how did the boys handle it? Because I think I feel like you're one of the first to sort of get into that scene. You jumped in it pretty early when I know there was like changing room banter can be brutal. I'd started this once I'd left, I'd finished. So I was a little bit safer, but I know what guys could be like, especially back then.
I think if you can personally like get past the little hit of banter, and then you have a chat with someone, they're all on board. They make awesome, good stuff. Like, if you need anything, I'll help you out.
One-on-one there. You actually sit down with them one-on-one, they're sweet.
But in a team meeting, when your content gets put up on the screen, it's like, it's tough. So there's a few moments of those, but just like podcasting, you get better quick, and you're so stoked you did have a crack. And the saying is like, if you're not embarrassed by your first pieces of content, then you started too late. And man, I believe in that now. So that's how it all started.
What was the aim goal from that when you were starting? Were you thinking a product like a tea or?
No, I probably always wanted to build a kicking tee, but I just wanted to have the project. It was the try something and learn a few things. So that's what I wanted. And I probably learnt through doing like house renos and stuff how good it is for your mental well-being, and just to have something else and have something you're working on and crafting on. And as soon as you make one bit of content, you can evaluate how can I make that better, try this idea, and things start applying more to you. And that's a cool concept. I might make a video on that. So I always loved having that to be able to, I'm sure you enjoy doing this podcast. Like, it's great for your brain, and that sounds cool. That podcaster does that way. I might try that. So a lot of those sort of moments, I always loved having a project outside of just rugby.
And was there a moment in the sort of growth of it where you thought, okay, this is going to be, we're going here?
Like it took a while to get rolling, and I'd never used to talk in the videos. So for the first probably 8 months, it was just like a text overlay. So I never had the mic'd up. So that was a big progression.
Because of judgment?
Probably, 100%. Like, I probably felt like I wasn't able to explain it or articulate whatever I was talking about. I just had the visual stuff. And that was a big game changer for the content, because then all of a sudden people are now buying into you and your thoughts, and the content just went to another level.
And then the kicking tee, like how and why the kicking tee?
Loving the craft of goal kicking, and probably a little bit of cricket as well. You know, when you got that cricket bat that you've scored a lot of runs with and it's just your baby. The same thing kind of happens with kickers. And because you kick goals a little bit,
I tried, I wish I had a rugby bricks team, and I would have had a much more successful career.
So I just knew that kickers like really loved their kicking tee, and then like you take it all around the world or different games, and it gets scuffed and different like markings, but that just adds to the story behind it. And then you might kick a game winner with it, and then you love that tee even more. So I probably really understood like how much a kicking tee meant to goal kickers. So I wanted to build something that was a Rugby Bricks kicking tee. And I've always really liked like branding and the whole Nike Just Do It thing, and what they've done, and the craft behind building a brand and a mantra. So that's why we went with the outwork, outlearn thing, because I think that goal kickers need to do that. They need to outwork people and put in the hours and build their craft. So I kind of wanted a product that people could lean into with that. And so stoked with the kicking tees. What a journey, like 3D printing and tweaking and changing, and New Zealand made. So a lot of learnings through that.
I was going to say, like, you've got this idea of producing a kicking tee. What is your next step?
Yes, so finding someone who could help me build it was big. I used to work for Leslie Rugby. I don't know if you remember those balls, JL. So worked for JL for a couple of years, and he got mouth guards made for his junior players. So I knew that there was a guy out in Mosgiel who could produce a mouth guard, and I sort of saw the way he did it with the molding process. So I went to him first, and he's like, yeah, no worries, like I can 3D print your idea. So we started there. He 3D printed a couple of kicking tees, and they're that hard plastic, so I just had to check whether the ball would actually sit there and how it would look when you're at the back of your mark and all those things. And that's how it all started, through 3D printing, and then, let's go with that.
And the design of it, is that all down to you and your preference of kicking styles, or?
Yeah, so I've got a whole box full of different kicking tees and different heights and all the rest of it. Yeah, so there was a lot of different styles and crafting behind that. But the most popular ones now is the RB Vortex tee, which is the one that we're seeing everywhere.
Yeah.
We just super proud of it. Look, we did nail it, like the way that it looks and sits. Because there's something about when you're back in the mark, how it looks like, man, that looks, I can smoke that.
Yeah.
So as soon as I saw it sitting there in the 3D mold, I was like, we're on to something here.
Is that the one you kick off?
Yep. So I moved to there. I used to kick off like our other one, RB88, but I've moved more to the Vortex now. It's fun tee to use.
Yeah. How many tees have you got?
We've got 6 in the range.
Yeah.
And like each of those so a mold is about $18K each. So it's a pretty pricey thing to jump into.
Yeah.
How it goes into the machine and injection molding and all the rest of it. So so six in the range at the moment. We've got one that's like by far the most popular. So it's about 80% of sales is the mid cut. So it's a banger.
And is that the one that obviously the Rugby World Cup would have been massive for you? There's so many kickers at the Rugby World Cup kicking off Rugby Bricks tees. Did that massively spike sales, especially for the ones that Ramos and the likes were kicking off?
The French sales were crazy.
Were they? Oh, that's cool.
And we did a red World Cup tee.
Oh, yeah.
So we released an exclusive colour and that just went crazy. Yeah. Yeah. So the World Cup last year was massive, and having guys like Ramos and that just gives you such credibility and Tamac and a few of the Argentinian kickers like Nico Sanchez, and Quaid was probably the big first pro that was wicked. Like that was such a cool, literally just went along to Rebels training one night and was like, hey bro, give this a try. He's like, oh, that's all right, I might use it this weekend. And when he got on board, I was like, man, this is cool. Especially to have the big dog QC using it.
Yeah.
So that's where it all started. But World Cup year was big. It was epic.
So is that how you get the guy? Do you just give free tees to these guys, or you don't pay? Do you pay players, or how does that work?
No, we've never gone down that track of paying a player. We've always just gifted the product.
Yeah.
I wanted to go after the 20s kicker.
Oh, yeah.
So about 4 years ago, we still do now. So that's my person that I really try to get on board with early, because if they start using it and use it well and enjoy it, then
get that connection like you spoke about before. You fall in love with it. You're not changing.
Yeah, connected to the product and not going to change away from it. So that's where we plant the seed. And then I suppose retail's the next project that we're trying to get to at the moment. So getting into Rebel Sport and the stores are like the New Zealand rugby players, like our pool of players is so small compared to like your South African market, French market. So we're just trying to get really ready for probably this and next year to be able to just go into those big retail stores.
Yeah.
And then the problem we've got to solve there is distribution and freight and international shipping and the rest of it. So plenty to work through, and just in this next phase of Rugby Bricks.
Yeah, how big is the Rugby Bricks team right now?
So we've got a team of 6 at the moment. So
6, right.
So
all in New Zealand.
One over in Aussie, he's doing all our digital stuff.
Oh yeah,
and then KP CEO, and then 3 across New Zealand. So we're doing club merch now. So that's a big new part of what Rugby Bricks is doing. Jerseys, short socks, kit bags, training apparel. So we're heading down that track because, again, massive opportunity. And now that we've got a bit of brand, like that's really starting to be a positive thing for us,
So when someone orders a kicking tee from France, you send that from Dunedin?
No, so we've got 3PL, so third-party logistics. So we've got like one of those in South Africa, UK, Japan.
Oh, yeah.
So they're like a holding company.
Okay.
And then the order comes through there, and then they distribute it over there.
Yeah, how good.
Yep. Because then you don't have the ridiculous freight. Yeah, that would be brutal. New Zealand to France.
Every tee, So then rugby kit, that's anything else on top of that?
They're the 2 big projects at the moment. So retail and merch, so club kit.
Yeah.
And there's plenty in that. Plus trying to organise like our those stores, the different markets, France, Japan, South Africa, loving what we're doing in South Africa at the moment. Like we've got 2 guys over there that are just doing a great job of distributing and content, and like the schoolboy rugby over there is epic. Trying to get over there in July actually to do some clinics, so that'd be wicked. So the opportunity's endless.
Because you do a lot of coaching clinics still with young kids as well, and how do you find that?
Really love it.
Yeah.
So it's an opportunity because we get that many DMs asking for free teas or advice.
Yeah.
And so for us to put on clinics around New Zealand and just go and deliver like a Rugby Bricks quality product, they love it, eh? So we did 4 locations. We did Dunedin, Christchurch, Hamilton and Auckland this year. And just to get the excitement, and you get a kid that turns up with, he's purchased 3 teas in a boot bag and he's like, mate, love it. Like, watch me kick, like, what do you think? And I love those interactions, and it's a content capture on steroids for us. So we take someone, media, get mic'd up, the session's fully captured and cut that up into little reels, and so it's a win-win in so many different ways.
You've done that well with your content creation around, looks like it's all really natural now. It's not, so you're not setting them up, you're sort of just chucking the mic on a normal session, especially like some of your NRL, you've been working with some of the NRL clubs, and when you're doing these coaching sessions, it's just basically cut and capture.
And that's where it's been a nice little natural progression. Like when opportunity comes up, like the Tigers to head over with Benji, like, wow, what a couple of weeks that was. But part of the arrangement was like, okay, cool. Like, would it be okay as part of this arrangement that your content team captures it? Let's just chuck a mic on and capture it, which is super easy for a content person. Like that's not a hard task for them. So that's been cool. And then you just get all the raw data and able to chop that up and just use it and cut it. So it's that, I call it the Steph Curry rule. So like if you're just watching Steph Curry shoot at a training, we're probably going to watch it. Like it's incredible. Like Steph's doing it. So to get that professional content with professional athletes like Epi Carousel doing spiral kicking, like it's pretty engaging to watch, right?
Yeah. So how do you get those gigs? I mean, you've done a lot of the NRL teams now. I've been with the Storm, a few others. How do they even come about? They big Rugby Bricks fans.
DM. Like,
you DM them?
No. So
they DM you?
Yeah, the other way around. So I think as soon as you do a good job, like teams need problem solved. So kicking's one of them. So and same with rugby union, like you need a good scrum coach so your scrum's good. So you probably need a good kicking coach if you want to kick good. And in the NRL, kicking is it's part of that arm wrestle in the game. Like if you can kick well into territory and capture them in the python pit, 10 out from their line and hold them there, like that is a huge athlete. If you're not supporting your athletes around kicking skill and how to put the ball there from all different parts of the field, how could your defense or pressure be any good? So I think when people understand that, and some of the work that I did with the Storm and then being at the Tigers and Bulldogs now, like I've obviously created a bit of social proof from what I do with Rugby Bricks. And so therefore, just a DM or a WhatsApp and hey, could you come for a week? This is what we're thinking. That's how those opportunities have come about. Yeah.
It's so cool.
Yeah. It's been awesome.
Yeah. Is there a difference between the league kickers and the union kickers?
Yeah, there is just a bit of a culture different. Like league boys are cowboys. They're pretty off the cuff. And so, and I reckon union kickers are pretty tight and tidy. Yeah. Whereas the league boys, where they needed a bit of help, was just around like tidying up their kicking technique, like natural raw talents, but consistently on a pin drop, like consistent ball drops. All the rest of it is where they just needed a bit of help. Same with their goal kicking. Like some of them didn't even have like a thing, like a ball set up. That's the same.
Put it on and check it.
Yeah, just chuck it on, thirsting it around the corner. So yeah, little frameworks like that, you can get real easy wins really quickly. Yeah. And then league, they're really like, you can get a big payout of spiral bombs now. Like the backfield's so full, so rather than putting up an easy catch, can we put up spiral bombs? So how can we make that more consistent? So yeah, had a really good couple of weeks at the Tigers where we really built their kicking game, and they're going really good the last couple of weeks now, and off the back, not of my work.
Yeah, it is, mate.
off the back, a lot of their kick pressure, which is awesome to see.
Yeah, all the NRL clubs will be chasing you soon.
It's been cool learnings. Like, had a wicked experience with the Bulldogs. Went in there, Willie Mason's hanging around, and just getting to engage with guys like that, and Cameron Serraldo, their head coach. And like, we're talking about coaching, when you like, yep, I get to get there and coach and do my craft, which I love. But then you're in team meetings, you're in culture sessions, you're hearing how they're setting up their week. So it's been personal development on steroids. It's been a real pleasure.
Yeah, such a cool learning opportunity, for someone who wants to go on and be a coach, to be able to witness and experience all that while still delivering.
Yeah.
Not just there watching and observing, like sometimes you go on some of these weeks and you sit there and just watch and stand at the back, but you're actually in there as well, delivering and engaged in it all.
Yeah, and I'm sure you've done some awesome personal development stuff, and you'll know how much you pick up in a day in an environment. So imagine being there for a couple of weeks and hearing everything and learning everything. So yeah, been pretty privileged.
Do you prefer that type of coaching?
It's really worked for me with being able to do both.
Yeah.
And I also think that you got to give your players a bit of breathing room so that then they own it as well. So I know that I come in pretty heavy and hot and excited with it all, like try this, filter, have you thought about? And if you had that like level of intensity week in, week out, it might be a bit much. So it works really well for just a good 1 week, 2 week hit. And then now bit of breathing space, come back again.
Yeah.
That was what we did over in Japan with Rico Black Rams. So went for 2 weeks, had a month away, came back for another 2 weeks. And that was a really cool thing to see, the progression and development based off the seeds we planted in the first 2 weeks. So it's been working well. I've really enjoyed the spot coaching way of doing it and doing bricks plus the family stuff.
Yeah. So then Matatu come to the party and offer you a role here.
Yeah.
What was your decision to take that role? And was that a tough one?
No, not really. I really wanted to do it. Whitney Hanson, head coach there.
Yeah.
We coached Black Ferns XV together.
Oh, okay.
And really, she's a top operator when it comes to building people, creating a culture, an environment. Like, she's done a great job there. So it was pretty easy to jump into the Matatu one. And I knew that I could have a bit of an impact with how we wanted to play. Some of the players there, the skill set, epic. Quite a few Black Ferns involved there. So it was a really good opportunity to work with quality people in an environment that I believed in already. So yeah, it's been like we talked about before, for my own coaching development, it's been a huge learning.
How good is women's football, rugby at the moment now? Like, we watch them before the games often and on TV, and just the product of in a whole is just growing massively over the last sort of 4 or 3 years, eh?
Yeah, and I've seen the progression in front of my eyes. Like, I started back in 2017 with Rugby Bricks, and if you talk about or look at the kicking back then, it is light years apart compared to what it used to be back then.
Yeah.
And compare that to the early 2000s, etc. Like, so many more girls are coming through kicking, passing, academies, reps, which are now producing into the product that we're seeing now. And man, if you're a Black Ferns coach, you are loving Super Rugby Opiki, like tight games, battles, X Factor everywhere. Man, it's been a cool season.
What's been the biggest difference for you coaching women compared to, I mean, guess you've been with NRL teams and all the men?
This question comes up a lot. It's the generic one is the more questions and the why behind things.
Oh, yeah.
But that's not even a big thing. The on-field grass stuff is very similar. Like, it's all rugby. It's the detail of rugby and technique and tackle tech, clean-out tech. Like, all that stuff's really similar. I think it's the off-field connections and subtleties that are slightly different. You've just got to be aware of things. It's like any environment you go into, like in a different country, or you've just got to be aware that things are done slightly differently in this environment. So in the women's game, it is different. There is different needs and connections and care that you need to show people to get what you want in a high performance outcome in a game. So there's not too much difference, but at the same time, there's a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot. What about in terms of like selection and things like that? Like, how have what girls who especially aren't selected, how do they handle that?
Yeah, from my experience, really, really similar.
Yeah.
I think we've all had hard selections as players that I think probably the big difference is the sharing of the feeling.
Yeah.
So I think men sort of internally go quiet, just give me some time. I'm just going to digest this and sleep on it. Whereas the girls probably tend to sort of share the feel and how they're feeling with a couple of teammates and their flat or whoever they're living with. So that's just a different one you've got to expect. And so I suppose if you know that, then your timing of when you give that information is important. Like we know that Thursday's our big training day. So why not give them the message on the Monday or the Tuesday? And then by Thursday, they would have worked through the disappointment and how they're feeling. And okay, now what's the opportunity? So yeah, you just got to be a bit more crafty with your timing of that type of thing.
Yeah, mate, you're a coaching wizard. So what other plans for you going forward? You've mentioned you got a pretty tough decision coming up at some point, but obviously want to grow Rugby Bricks to what?
Yeah, good question. And we're talking about this at the moment. So we want to grow Rugby Bricks to be like a global brand. Like that is the vision. So that's going to take a lot of work and effort. So I am keen to make that happen. I'm in a position that we can attack that goal and get after it, and got a really a team of A players in our team now with Rugby Bricks that can make that happen. So that is the focus. But I also love coaching, and I love doing what I'm doing, and it benefits Rugby Bricks with what we're trying to do. So, a little bit of both, I think, is going to be the plan going forward. And if I can manage it and juggle it for as long as I can, which I have been doing already through spot coaching, I will. Yeah. But I also want to look back on this time and think, man, we really got after it with Rugby Bricks and achieved something pretty special there.
Yeah. So if you got an opportunity to coach at super level, do you think would you be able to handle that?
I would need to commit to that fully.
Yeah.
And that's been a good learning through this Matatu season of like the actual commitment that it takes for coaching, and to be balanced and to be happy and able to function daily. Yeah. Like you need to go all in either way. And I suppose that's where I'm sitting, Jimmy, is like if that opportunity did come up or the full-time thing come up, then I'd have to make a decision on which way I'm going to go, and I'm going to be all in either way.
Yeah. Could you potentially hand over Rugby Bricks to someone who's the guy you're already half with? Would you trust someone? Would you be able to jump out of it, do you feel?
100%. And I could now. But then you sort of lose that sort of face of the brand. Like I'm aware of the role that I have within inside of Rugby Bricks, and yes, it could continue on without it. Yeah, and maybe it will one day. Maybe that is the right thing for us. But I also think that people love to follow people a little bit, and the characters and the I'm sure What a Lad podcast would be a bit different if you weren't in it, you know?
I hope so. Easily replaced.
Yeah. So a little bit of that. I can sort of see what the position that I hold inside the company when it comes to content and sharing the experience. And we've got so many wins and credibility from sharing what I'm doing at these clubs and around the world. So yeah, that's where we're at.
Mate, you're in a good position. It's a good one to be in. You've got options, and you're going to get to choose whatever you're most passionate about or whatever you feel like's the best for you and your family. Like you spoke around wanting to spend more time with them as well. Like, how do you see that happening over the next sort of 5 years?
Yeah, so I suppose the move back from Melbourne was a big one. Like we were right in the thick of it in Melbourne. Jay was working hard as a physio, and I was loving all the sport and getting over to the Big Bash and the tennis and all that. And then the kids turned up, and we just knew that if I was going to keep chasing rugby opportunities and Jay was busy with physio, that we needed family help. So the next, sort of 4 or 5 years are being surrounded by family, taking opportunities, and Jay pursuing her passion, which is a physio, and she's got a project called the Pregnant Athlete, which she's working hard with. So we're both busy, but privileged as well, as you say.
Yeah, mate, exciting. What a journey, and geez, you've done some stuff. But we have gone to the Instagram for some questions, and plenty have come in. A lot of Rugby Bricks fans out there in the world, and Peter Breen fans as well. First question is, which player has a skill that has just blown you away?
Aaron Smith.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you've had a bit to do with Nuggie over the years. Man, his craft. And the thing that when you get to, it's like when you get to go watch a Super Rugby contact session and you're there live and you're like, whoa, these boys are big and the impacts are big. When you watch Nuggie train his passing skill or like a box kick and the sound off the boot and just the crispness off his hands and his front thumb, you're like, holy, this guy's a world-class passer of a rugby ball.
Yeah.
And like when you're feeling it, how hot it's coming in. So he's by far probably and then Anton DuPont. So got over to Toulouse for a couple of weeks. And this guy's doing like spiral box kicks off his right foot. And then he'll do a spiral box kick off his left foot. And then he'll just do ridiculous goal kicks and passing. And yeah, so DuPont was pretty cool to see live. Same sort of thing.
Yeah.
You're like, this guy's operating at a different level.
Just freakish, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
But so such a good comparison, those two, because Aaron Smith's like perfect, I guess, rugby brick sort of player, like with his passing skill, his kicking skills, and DuPont's just so like that, has that rugby ability that everyone sort of wishes they had, where he obviously trains hard and works hard, but man, he's just a freak of nature, isn't he?
And good like pickup, like they are very different. So Anton like did the drills, but he wasn't like obsessed with it. It wasn't like him and like it's not like part of his daily routine like Nuggie. So yeah, two different ways of doing it. Raw talent versus like Nuggie, who's very detailed and loves the detail.
Yeah. And I guess Aaron Smith was big for you in terms of growing Rugby Bricks as well. Like I remember him doing a few passing videos for you back in the day. And
he was one of the first guys.
That's cool.
And when you get the All Black 9 and like if Nuggie's doing it, then it must be important or correct or, credible.
Yeah.
So I'm always real thankful. Like he's probably one. Matt Tamura was another one who gave me a crack. Ryan Pappenhausen for the Storm.
Yeah.
He reached out when I was over there. So yeah, those early guys who were happy to be on camera and happy for me to share what they were doing. Yeah. Super grateful because it means a lot.
Yeah. Did you notice a massive boost from each of those guys coming on?
Yeah, Nuggie was big. Yeah, and his stuff on YouTube and Instagram went off.
Yeah.
And going back to that talking thing in the video, he was one of the first guys that talked his way through it. Like I've shown a lot of people, but he actually talked his way through the clips. And so, yeah, the content was awesome.
What a legend. Okay, next one. How many times a week should you practice kicking compared to gym/speed?
I've got the 4-4 rule. So 4 gyms or S&C and 4 skill.
Yeah.
So that would be like what a full week should look like. But you also earn the right to kick a lot. So, and not every kick has to be 100% goal kick. So you can do little touch stuff. You can do like grubbers using a soccer ball. You can get your touch count up in your week just by doing like low percentage. They often talk about 40% kicking, little touches, grubbers, little spirals, kicking into a net. It's all different ways of building your skills and touches in a week. So I think for every gym or speed session you're doing, you should be doing 1 skill session. And that doesn't have to be an hour. That can be 20 minutes. But that would be my advice. Little and often. Golfers go to the driving range pretty much every day. Chipping, putting, feeling, crafting. Like rugby players can be similar, whether you're a hooker thrower or a halfback or a 10 or a fullback. Like you can work on your craft every day and you've kind of got to earn your right to get there, but you can do it every day.
And you earn the right means injury prevention, because that's obviously the big risk of what we get told is around if you're kicking every day, like something's going to go. But I've noticed that with Lee Halfpenny coming over, man, he has a big kicking session compared to the rest of the boys over here, and he's obviously earned the right kicking goals every day for the last 30 years.
And that's why I say when I have my chats with S&C trainers who want to rein it in and look after groins and time on feet is is if someone has earned the right, like they have got 5 years of experience and worked on their craft, they're a lot different to the person who's learning to kick for the first time.
Yeah.
So that's where the difference is, and that's why I'm saying earn it.
Yeah.
Because then you will be allowed to, if you're in a professional environment, to get all those stuff you feel like you need to be ready for Saturday.
That's cool. And the kicking intensity is one that I've never really thought about before either. So early in the week, would that be softer? And then as you get to captain's run and pre-game, you're 100%?
Yeah, so Reece Hodge talked about this a lot. It was a game changer for him. So big, powerful, he's a bloody stallion of a guy. But he was playing fullback, having these huge K games, high-speed running meters.
Yeah.
And then he was finding like he wasn't feeling good enough to kick until like Thursday, because he just put his body through so much. So he brought in like 40% kicking. So every Monday, Tuesday, he'd have a 40% kicking session with little touches of soccer ball or kicking into a net, little drop kicks, little spirals, some low energy kicks off the tee into the net. So all of a sudden he's kicked the ball 40 times on Monday.
Yeah.
And then on Tuesday he's done another 40. So now he's got like his little touches, his plant foot's sweet, his positioning on the ball's good. He's feeling like whether he's pushing or pulling or slicing, he's already good to go. And now his Thursday's set up and he's ready to have a quality quick kicking session at 100%. But he's done the work earlier in the week.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying, is that you can, if you love your detail and you love going down this road, like there's a way to set up your week to make you more successful.
I love it. Mate, you are a wizard. Okay, next one. Undercover parkour enthusiast.
This is probably Georgia Cormack, I think. Not really. I just love busting out a move every now and then just for a lull. Just chuck out a bit of parkour from the office. But enthusiast, I'm not too sure about that.
Would you go to a...
No. No. It is literally for shits and giggles.
Well, I thought you might add another hobby. I was like, where's he got the time for parkour?
No way. But if we're walking somewhere and there's an opportunity to bust out a bit of parkour, I'll chuck it out in front of the group.
Okay. Winning with North Otago on the West Coast. Must be a story here.
Wow. I think, I didn't see that one coming. But yeah, we played, it was the first time I ever stood in front for the national anthem. The Lahore Cup.
Oh, okay.
Yep, Lahore Cup.
Final.
Bottom six final, yeah.
Oh.
So North Otago, fullback over on the West Coast, took out the W, yeah. So probably not much of a story, but that was, bizarre. It was one of those seasons where didn't make Otago. What do I do now? Head down to North Otago, play some Heartland, epic. And there, we took out the Lahore Cup over there. So great for your rugby. So many quality players have had a season, yourself. That was the memory there.
Mate, how good. West Coast, what a spot. Okay. Keys to growing a platform on social media. No one better to ask.
That's a big question. Turning up daily and with consistency. I think if you actually are keen to do it, like you do need to turn up daily through your content, through your story. Whereas if you have a look back through your own now on your phone, you probably posted a month ago.
Yeah. And
that's not the way to get growth. So one thing that, again, going back to my role inside the company, like I'm always on the story, daily posting, sharing, whether it's my experience, something I'm doing in the gym.
Yeah.
That's the key to it. And then knowing who you're talking to, knowing your niche, like all the stuff that we've chatted through today, it's at a specific person, right, who's in a situation. So when you know who your niche is, then you know who you're talking to, you know what messaging you need to have. So that's probably the two keys to growth for me. There's lots of little digital hacks and hashtags and timing and all the rest of it, but I actually think that stuff's not as important as just daily know your niche.
Mate,
what's your advice?
Mate, I'm taking notes here. Like, I'm struggling, but no, like consistency's one that I've heard a lot around being able to, I guess being able to do that is once you've, I guess, not cared as much as what you're trying to post. Sometimes you can try and have that perfect post and just being consistent with it and just putting it out there and not being afraid to be judged or have a bad post or whatever.
Yeah, and I think they talk about entertain or educate.
Yeah.
So I've gone educate, right? So I don't really have to turn up and be funny or anything. I can just educate, and shareability is a key one. So if I can make a passing cue that then all club rugby players are sharing with their mates and teammates, then shareability.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing to have in the back of your mind is, would someone share this and why?
Yeah.
And that's probably why some of your best content with some of your players or coaches or whatever, it's like, man, awesome yarn, I've got to share this.
Yeah.
So that's another good one.
Yeah, and have you found a difference between the different platforms? That's the one thing that I notice at the moment. Like, one platform will be like the best piece of content ever, and on the other one it's like nothing.
Yeah.
So
Facebook, a bit of hate. That's bullshit. It's funny, the mindset of people on Facebook. It's where all the Karens are, and that's where all our trolls come at us. Well, we're doing a bit on TikTok, which is fun. TikTok's so random with what works.
Oh, is it what?
Yeah. So Instagram's kind of my favorite platform at the moment. But you do need, LinkedIn's been pretty good. You can get a little bit more professional and savvy on there. But Instagram's kind of the one.
Where does YouTube sit for you, and YouTube Shorts and all that?
So YouTube for Rugby Bricks is how to.
Yeah.
So I think whenever we're in life wanting to know how to change a tire, we'll go YouTube how to. So that's where I've put like the how to drop kick, how to goal kick, how to tackle, gone down that track with the content, and along with our long form sort of podcast stuff. Yeah.
Big numbers?
No, nothing too crazy, not compared to TikTok or Instagram, but super engaged numbers.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Oh, interesting. Good question. Hardest thing about being a business owner?
The daily issues that pop up every day, consistently. Like at the moment, we've got a software that is, for some reason, taking all our stock levels to zero.
Oh, yeah.
That we've implemented. So like, we're trying to figure, like yesterday, the problem was how do we delete and kill this integration across all our different like French, ZA, South Africa, Japan stores that is turning our best seller to zero.
Yeah.
Like that is what happens daily inside a small business. And probably managing your team, relationships, stresses, funerals, like all that stuff pops up. So, just you're in it daily.
How do you stay focused on the coaching while you're in it, while all this is going on in the background?
Yeah, Kale's taken a lot of the heavy lifting, my business, to be honest, this year. But you sort of want to be across it as well. The hard thing, that the frustration is, I'll be turning up at like the end of the week and then wanting updates, having missed a whole heap of stuff. So that's been challenging. But yeah, there's just stuff daily,
constant. The joys.
Yeah.
Okay, which coach has impressed you the most seeing inside other camps?
Bellamy's impressive, and he doesn't give much to the forward-facing camera, but behind closed doors, his knowledge and like his video sessions are pretty impressive. Have you been over? Yeah. So it's unique the way he does it, but he's always got a clear message and probably a clear action that the player can perform.
Yeah,
like he's not just giving you a be better.
Yeah,
he's giving you a be better. This is how. And
with a few swear words on top.
The coaching box is unbelievable.
Have you watched the game in the box? That's true.
It's bizarre. Just like that nervous when you're sitting there as a coach, and you might give it a little wipe or but his just comes out from minute 1 to 80. And then when he goes for his walks and stuff and just loses it. But so I've heard him talk about that, like he's got wicked assistants around him, and probably the best environments that I have seen, like Benji with the Tigers at the moment, he's got gun assistants around him. And you've probably felt that as a coach as well. Like when head's clear, vision, where we're going, and great people around, man, that is a recipe for success.
Yeah.
And Bellamy's had that. Great attack coach, defense coach, wrestling coach, S&C, like the organization's just humming. Frank Panesi in head office, front office. So he's been a good one to see. And then Benji's been, he's spoken a lot about sort of being that young modern coach who doesn't want to be 24/7. But I think he's just more aware of like work-life balance
Yeah.
and how to show up and be Benji. And he spoke about, he knows he's in this early phase. Like he still trains, so he'll be in drills,
True.
ripping the boys to shreds
Yeah.
and talking smack and just like trying to show the boys, these young fellas, like what edge and what a competitor looks like.
Yeah.
And he wasn't able to find it through his players that he was bringing in. So he's like, well, the best way is show how, and I still can. I'm still young. So probably just being the coach and being the phase that you're in your life. Like I'm sure you're running around trainings and enjoying it.
I wish I was still riffing up. Mate, I could imagine you and the Matatu drills. Just
Yeah, there's been a little bit of tidy footwork happening. I've definitely told them a few times, what's up? Bit of kick space. They're not loving the spiral bombs, but
well, there's a great clip of Tamati Ellison at Wellington Lions training last year where he was trying to get them to run tighter lines, and then he was holding the pad, and the guy doesn't run a tight line, and he just absolutely flattens him.
Yeah.
He always sends it to me, but it's so true. When to be able to show them, sometimes it's actually being in the drill and being able to do it in front of them or for them.
Yeah. And so that's been cool to see, like be a coach in the phase of your coaching life that you're in.
Yeah.
You don't have to be the old guy arms crossed, standing back, like all grumpy. Like you can be your authentic self. So that was cool to see through Benji and the stuff that I saw from Craig as well, just around his team that he had set up, was really great to see.
Mate, awesome. Okay, two more. Which NRL player do you think would go well at rugby?
Harry Grant would be nice.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What position? 9?
Yeah.
Yeah.
9. And he is just
DuPont-esque.
Yeah, very, very DuPont. Paps would be good at fullback.
Yeah.
Ron Papenhouse, the Storm boys.
Yeah.
Those would be my two. And then probably Josh Addo-Carr. Man, he is just like, he could probably Sevu Reece it a little bit.
True.
Just like fun, fast, agility. Yeah, those boys.
Top end.
Yeah. And then probably the best kicker would be Matt Burden. Him at Bulldogs training, wow. Like pretty Geordie Barrett-like with his levers and just height, hang time. Yeah.
Big spiral bomb on him.
Huge. And in follow through, we talk about lift and elevation. So like when you get the snapshot of the player off the ground in the air, like his lift and elevation is just unbelievable with his big lever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's that down to?
Technique.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of players are like stuck in the mud
Yeah.
when they kick, so their plant foot's like literally looks like it's stuck in the mud.
Yeah.
Whereas when you actually get a bit of energy from that plant foot and like lift and get off the ground, that's where you get that big height hang time.
True.
Yeah. So if you watch like Jerome Hughes, that was our big work on for him. He was like a little stapler.
Yeah.
And so as soon as we got him big and tall, he's getting kicks down to that python pit.
Yeah.
And then Bellamy's defense is lining it up.
Your ability to break down a skill is like super impressive, and how you actually coach that like to the detail. I think it's something that I struggle with, is to be able to break it down into that real detail that you do. Like, where did you learn that, and how did you pick that up?
What social media has allowed me to do, like I've made thousands of micro skill coaching videos. So if I'm good enough at explaining it on a video, that means I've probably had to think about it to get organized enough to make the video a little bullet points. And so I think like I'm staying in my lane here. I'm talking about kicking and passing and like I'm not talking about
Scrums.
Neck tension.
Right shoulder.
Yeah. Like 2, 3, 4. 1 o'clock. All that stuff. So yeah, I'm staying in my lane, and I've talked about this stuff a lot, and I've got a really good framework on how I'd solve a player's problem. So whenever a question comes up, it's like, oh yeah, I know where that is. Go pull that out, talk about it, which then applies to that. So my frameworks around this stuff are pretty, put a lot of work into it. Yeah.
Mate, paid off. Okay, last question. Best piece of advice you have for a What a Lad listener?
What a lad listener. Keep listening. So, like and subscribe. And share. Like, subscribe, and share.
Oh, mate, spoken like a true content creator. I love it.
What a lad listener who is chasing a rugby dream. I'll probably go that way into a niche. Your skill set will stand out on the rugby field. So your big squat is cool. It'll help. And your big bench press is awesome. Like, strength is important, but your world-class skill set will stand out to a selector.
Mate, I love it. And Will Jordan that was the same piece of advice he gave a couple of weeks ago around how much we spend on in the gym compared to the skill set and even the video analysis. So you two are right on.
I had a session with Will. He reached out.
Oh, did you?
That was really cool. I was an impressive guy.
With his sling?
This was a
pre-shoulder.
year or two ago. Yeah. But similar to Nuggy, he was about it. He was in it. So I really enjoyed Will.
Mate, he loves code, and he's awesome to speak code with because he just gets it. And
cool. What a lad.
What a lad, mate. Appreciate you coming on.
That's cool.
Watching your journey from where you've started with Rugby Bricks to where it is now has been awesome to follow, and enjoyed. I think I played against you a couple of times back in the NPC battles.
Mate, those Tasman games.
Oh, battles.
You and Fonatier in the middle. Oh, I was playing a little bit of 12 and then outside Quasi, so Hayden's a bit smaller, and then I was dealing with Goodman, yourself, Fonatier,
mate.
Cade.
Yeah, Cade Poke.
Yeah, you guys were just muscle.
We came last, I think. But it was good times.
Windy night in Tasman. Oh.
But no, I appreciate you coming on, and been awesome going through it, and best of luck with Rugby Bricks in the future and where that gets to, and of course your coaching as well, and your family. So
no, appreciate it as well, and we really enjoyed that chat at the airport the other days. Like, I think Crusaders, you guys were battling, we were battling a bit, so it was cool to compare notes a little bit and realise other people are going through similar things in their coaching journey. So yeah, really grateful for you guys and appreciate it. Thanks so much,
mate. You're a lad.